it?
It's Tuesday night, 10 p.m., and this is the C3 Podcast.
I guess you've heard of my reputation. I've had my share of fooling around. But everybody needs stimulation.
I had fun, man. Just out, the guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, man, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
Good Lord, it's a good day to be a Panthers fan. And we the best. You heard them say it. We are the best, Joe. And we put it on them right in the mouth. Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It's Tuesday night, and we chop it up. All the latest Panther news, perspectives from the fan perspective. I do it with my homeboys. This week, as usual, I'm here with Joe Riolano, a.k.a. that freaking Puerto Rican. How's it going, Joe?
Tony, it's Tuesday night, and we are back at it. We are back here getting ready to blow up on these Carolina Panthers of ours.
We also, we have a lot to say, Joe. I know you said you were fired up. You were fired up last week. As did this week's game just fan the fire?
It did, for the most part, yes, and I can't wait to get started on it.
We've got our buddy Mel Mayock here, all the way from the West Coast, Las Vegas, one of my favorite cities. I've only been there once, but boy, I didn't sleep at all. Mel, you're not sleeping right now. Are you sleeping on the Panthers?
I'm not sleeping on the Panthers, man. I'm not giving up hope yet. I get beat down every week. I get my hopes up, get beat down, but I'm not giving up the ghost yet. But hey, it's your favorite city. C3, we need a C3 reunion, man. You and Joe and anybody else out there in Twitter land, put your name in the hat and come on out to Vegas. Let's have some fun.
All right. Well, we got it's going to be fun tonight, even though it's miserable at the same time. Guys, tonight's show is the Panthers lose again, and the name of tonight's show is this. Is this halfway to 8? And I just keep saying over and over, this feels a lot like 2014 and that brutal stretch that we endured, 8-game losing streak.
Awesome.
And we're four in on the losing streak. I hope we're not halfway to 8. Let me ask you, we'll start with that, Mel. Are we halfway to 8, or is it going to be more? Will we get a win before then?
Well, first of all, was 2014, was that the year that we had the weekly therapy sessions where we all got together and
yes, it was 8 straight weeks of miserable, of terribleness, of therapy.
Well, my education was in Matthews, North Carolina, which is rural North Carolina. So some people say my math isn't that great. So no, I don't think we're halfway to 8. I think we're going to go on a run. My prediction right now, 10-6, baby.
Wow.
We got 10 more losses in us. We're going to turn this thing around.
Okay. All right. Well,
as you can tell, I'm drinking a little bit tonight.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too much.
Joe, are we halfway to 8?
Dang, Tony.
Is that the worst question to start with?
Yeah, I think so. What we've seen in this team is consistently bad. Okay, but in the second half against the Saints, we saw some fire. We saw just a little bit of fire and that passion that we've been missing up to that point. Mm-hmm. So you have hope. You do have hope because you saw it. But is the bye week going to help us to focus and zone in and fan the flames of that fire? Or is the bye week going to put out and extinguish the flames of the fire and cause us to take a step back and be the start of our halfway to 8? That is the question. I'm sort of half in and half thinking it's not going to happen.
I did this on purpose. I named the show this, and I asked this question to start because I know everybody out there right now is frustrated to the point that we never thought we could feel this feeling this season, to where the idea that a losing streak of that magnitude even be comprehensible. And now I won't say it was a little baiting in that, boy, if we're halfway to 8, I'm going to be drunk all the time.
And that's different, hell.
I know.
Yeah.
Excellent point. All right. So, if you want to tell us, you can tell us what you think if we're halfway to 8, or what you would like to hear us talk about this evening. You can tweet the show using the hashtag C3. You can join the conversation on YouTube. Also, if you're listening out there and you enjoy the show, do us a favor and give it a share. It really helps our show grow and Panther Nation grow. And we love the camaraderie that we get out of the discussion. So give us a share, subscribe on our YouTube channel, subscribe on iTunes, all that jazz.
Hey,
all
Professor,
right, yes,
folks are already active out there on Twitter. You got Nod Narb the Great, which is also at Esoteric Cranium, one of our great followers. I love that name. He already puts out there with the hashtag C3, says halfway to 8, 3/4 of the way to 12. I said 12. I said 12 and 4, but I'm dyslexic.
Oh God, that's just brutal. And all right, so we've dropped here the Carolina Panthers for 2 weeks in a row. We've said it's been a must win, and for 2 weeks in a row, we're here on Tuesday night after a loss. Yep. They go to New Orleans, and boy, that game almost got out of hand in the first quarter. They fall, down 21-0. What did you guys? At what moment? What did you feel like when that game? Did you guys have that feeling that I had? Like, oh crap, this could be ugly.
Yes, for sure. I had that feeling because we were in the dome. And they feed off of the energy of that crowd, and that crowd was excited. So yes, I thought potentially this could be a huge blowout.
What happened? Mel, do you remember? Did you get to watch the first half, Mel?
Well, here's what happened. So I think from now on, I may not be able to watch much of the game because an ice-up candidate for the week is some good friends of mine, Michelle and Jason, who got married on Sunday of all week.
Who gets married on a Sunday?
I know. So they're ice-up candidates. They might get called, but they got married at 12:30 this Sunday. So, which is, out west, that's 3:30 local time. So that's a second half. So I had to leave at halftime. So I show up at the wedding in my suit, and I'm all pissed off, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? Hey, I wish y'all the best, but I'm pissed. And I'm sitting there trying not to look at my phone, but I look at my phone, and then my mom texts me and says, hey, Dixon just scored. Hey, so I'm a little bit happy, and it was brutal. So I hurry home, and I get to see the very end of the game, the last 2 minutes of the game, and then we lose.
How miserable was that?
It's awful. So I saw us go down 24 to 7 or to 3 at halftime or whatever it was, and then I catch them in halftime. We're tied, and then we lose. Brutal.
Okay, so they at I guess it looks like a 12-minute drive. They go down 57-second drive. They go down 3 plays, 93 yards, and they're up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. I want to say that that put them up to 21, I think. No, second quarter. It was right at the beginning of the second quarter.
Right.
They got a Drew Brees pass to Michael Thomas for 9 yards up the middle, and it's 21-0. And then the Panthers, they go down and kind of respond. Well, no, did they have to punt it away after that? Interception. Cam Newton intercepted after that. So not only are we down 21 points, Cam Newton throws the pick. I think that was on Devin Funchess. What did you
That
guys
was
think?
that was the one in the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like Funchess just like quit running on it.
We marched all the way downfield. Okay,
Yes.
we had a drive to respond. Playing good. Obviously, we had to have some good feeling. Feeling like, hey, we're getting things going. It is the Saints, but we're rolling. And then you throw the interception, and it's like so deflating.
It was.
Yeah, at that point, you're like, oh, Lord. It was already 21, and then you're like, holy crap. And then we do go down and hold them to a field goal. And I felt like that was almost a little win. At that point,
victory.
Yeah, like as a fan, I was sitting there watching it going, thank God we didn't just give up. If it was 28-0, dude.
It's over, right.
So then the Panthers come back and really show some kind of fortitude. And you got to say this is on Cam Newton. And they come back. I stand with Cam, and we're going to talk a lot about that coming up. But then they're able to bring the game back. At one point, they get it 31-17, and then I think it went 31-24, and then we go to tie it up, and Graham Gano misses the extra point. We're winning that game. We're winning the game at that point.
I know.
I feel like we're winning the momentum game at that point a little bit. As you're starting to turn this, or as this is all happening, and afterwards, we're going to talk about Cam Newton and the press conference and mess like that. But it was just Cam Newton and Jonathan Stewart willing this team the whole time.
It was.
Was it anybody else? Am I missing something else of who else was just – I felt like on every play those guys laid it out.
I got to tell you, man, I'm going to list 3 or 4 names here. It's the difference in our season. Devin Funchess, Kelvin Benjamin, KK Short, Starlo Tulele, Coney Ely. These guys, where the hell are they?
Missing.
That's the difference in this season so far. Where are they?
I want to give a shout out to someone I think Jonathan Stewart played a very good game. I thought. I thought he was running the ball very hard, and I liked the effort I saw from him.
Yeah. When we have,
I want to give a shout out to Cam Newton. I want to give a shout out to Cam Newton, and
absolutely
that first touchdown to Dixon.
Yeah.
You didn't get to see it, Mel. You saw it on your phone, right?
I didn't get to see it at all. I got a text.
Okay. So this play right here, I thought the play was over. I thought Cam Newton was running out of bounds and throwing it out of bounds. Right. And at the last moment, he contorts his body in the air, seeing a 6'5" man do like a gymnastics, like he learned it. You remember when he took that on the Nickelodeon show? I think he did something where a kid wanted to be a gymnast. Like he learned that move on the Nickelodeon show.
Nice.
Jumps up and contorts his body. I thought he's throwing it away. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh crap. Well, at least Cam threw it away, and it's a touchdown. Nobody else in the history of football could have made that throw.
No, I don't think so.
He's the man.
It's very unique to him because of his size and his speed and his arm strength. This is a large human.
You know what makes me so mad is because he is such a large human and he is so dominant. He has the potential, if things go right, to be the best ever. He's got more physical skills than anybody I can remember. He really got a lot more to go.
Joe's been saying that since day one. Joe has been saying that since day one.
What pisses me off, though, is the officials look at him.
Yeah.
And then they're like, dude,
you're right.
You're on your own, dude.
And, I don't think there was nothing like particularly – I mean, there was a couple of plays where I thought he should have gotten a flag, but there wasn't anything to the degree. of past games,
Right.
in my opinion. But here's the thing is that when you juxtapose it on the other side of the ball and they throw the flags like a normal human being on the other side of it, that it kind of rubs it in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like we got a penalty on Drew Brees for going down at the legs or something, whatever it was early in the game. And I thought they do that to Cam on every damn play.
All the time.
Exactly.
And nobody cares.
Right. So,
Susan on Twitter says this: it would be easier to list the players who are contributing these days.
I want to go back to that play, though. I want to go back to that touchdown pass because you really cannot appreciate the level of difficulty that took anyone. Well,
it was a busted play.
It was a busted play. Any other person would have run out of bounds. Okay, Cam at the last second sees Dixon in the back of the end zone and squares his shoulders because he was running with his shoulders toward the sideline. He squares his shoulders to the line of scrimmage and throws the ball with enough touch to get over a defender and what was it, probably 15 or 20 yards to the end zone from where he was.
Threw with his wrist. He wristed it. He's
in the air, so he can't get his legs into the throw because he's in the air, okay? Moving away from where he was throwing the ball. And yet he still had the strength. And
running to his left. He was running to his left.
Right, and he's right-handed, so remember that. I cannot tell you how nearly impossible this would be if you had 100 tries at it.
It was unbelievable. All right. And then another play on the touchdown run to the right corner, the right post. Pylon.
Mm-hmm.
He defied gravity.
Right. No human should be able to do that, and that's exactly what I said when
that was a Mike Vick. That was a Mike Vick play from a guy that was twice the size of Mike.
Right. That was a Mike Vick play from somebody that's 6 inches taller and 65, 70 pounds heavier.
Panthers fan on YouTube has the best one. He says Cam could be football LeBron. And it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Is that LeBron is just a man amongst boys in every scenario. So here, moving on to a little bit more about this game. Cam, I felt, and Jonathan Stewart played with a tenacity that had a 70s.
Is there any other game this year, any other half this year where you felt like Jonathan Stewart's tenacity came into play?
Well, he missed a few games, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he missed a couple of games. I felt like he run maybe Denver.
Maybe, where it came down to a kick. So that just tells you right there how important an elite, tough-nosed running back is to this team. When we set the tone and we're a badass at the running back position, we're a team to be reckoned with. It settles down everything else that we do, man. And without it, we're exposed.
I feel him and Cam have such a good chemistry together. And look, and Jonathan Stewart he's able to make something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He is not like those.
He's a good player when he's healthy, man.
Right.
Yeah,
he's a real good
he's tough. All right, so you got those guys laying it out. I would say this more. My last couple of observations on the offense. Greg Olsen, amazing. He's just so steady. Yeah, he is. But for what I thought during this game is that I thought we could tell that Kelvin Benjamin missed his second season.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was out of sync the whole game. Just you know, when you're trying to start your car and it's turning over, and almost catching, almost starting, that's what it was like. Like you couldn't ever quite get it going. And I think the perfect play that displayed that was the play where he should have timed his jump a little bit later to go up and get the ball. He thought he was going to be a Michael Jordan and hang in the air while the ball came to him, but no. That typified. That was exactly how you could sum up the day in that one play. It just never really clicked.
Yeah, the toe tap too.
Yes,
I think you're right. I think you're right. That play where it's almost like where I feel like sometimes a lot of players jump when they don't have to jump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that it's just kind of part of their game. Like every receiver jumps to catch the ball, even when it's barely needed. I felt like he was doing that, and you're right. It was just off. He didn't, and I think that those lack of reps in his, because of the injury last season, have showed in his inability at times to impose himself on the game.
Right. And that was very true. We definitely missed him. We really. I mean, he had a decent game. You know,
right,
I think he had like 6 or 8 catches. So he had a decent game, but you know, if he would have made that one catch along the sideline, if that would have counted, and then he would have caught the one where he mistimed his jump, those would have been, you know, drive-sustaining, potentially difference-making plays.
He had 8 catches for 86 yards.
Which isn't bad. You know?
It's not bad, but if he would have had a full second season of development at the pro level, he would have had 12 catches for 148 yards.
Right.
But now,
I mean, I think that's the difference.
Well, there's also a difference in somebody like Jericho Cotchery not being there, and then somebody like Ted Ginn, who had 10 touchdowns last year, splitting the seams, going deep. You haven't seen him other than, Minnesota, where he went deep and had that catch, but it was out of bounds in the end zone. You haven't seen him do that much at all this year, and that hurts. That hurts Kelvin Benjamin's game. You know, when you bring those safeties back a little bit further, that's going to help Kelvin Benjamin.
All right, I'm getting ready to make I'm going to add to your statement, Aaron, in what you're saying. Talking about the deep ball. Cam Newton, I was reading there was an article written by Andy I think it's Benoit, perhaps?
Benoit, yeah, Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, his Monday morning quarterback article.
His assistant emailed me, by the way, and asked for, he submitted a comment on our website and said he was compiling a list of blogs and writers, and they wanted to have our contact information.
Yeah, he's awesome. I read an article of his a few weeks back, and it was just spot on. I mean, he nailed it. So I emailed him, and we've been talking about, you know, different things. Anyway, in his article, he mentioned the PFF rating for Cam was 80.7, which is pretty solid. I think he was third highest that day. But with the deep ball, he was only 1 of 7 for anything over 20 yards. So that's the element of our game that's missing because
big time.
Because Cam doesn't have time. You know, the defensive pressure is getting to him, so he can't be accurate with the ball. When he does throw it, he's just, you know, throwing it on a wing and a player. You know what I mean?
Listen.
But as I continue reading the article, go ahead.
Just to add, so because I want to hear your on the article, Greg Olsen targeted 7 times, has 6 catches. Kelvin Benjamin targeted 14 times, had 8 catches.
Wow.
Ted Ginn targeted 8 times, had 5 catches. So you see that Greg Olsen is steady money there. Missed 1, and these other guys, there's a big gap.
Right, they're missing a lot. So we know he's off on the deep ball, okay? And last year, we were killing teams with that deep ball. Just absolutely eating defenses up. So, excuse me. But he calls up the Saints secondary on the intermediate throws. He was 12 of 18 for 172 of his 322 yards in the 10 to 19 yard pass areas. So those intermediate routes were there for the Panthers. And that's where I think we need to make note. We need more of these intermediate routes. We need to stop trying to go deep because our offensive line is not good enough to sustain the blocks long enough. Let's just face
Cam? Is that Cam? Because I heard our boy Steve Daner and somebody was talking yesterday about Cam wanting the big play so much. And I said to him that it's like a drug for Cam.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some truth to that. I think he's holding the ball a little too long, trying to get that big play, trying to be the hero. But,
it's
Cam,
like crack to him.
Cam certainly is not our problem this year. I'd like to hear your guys. I'd like to hear your guys' vote. I'd like to, between the three of us, vote. And out there in Twitter land, you vote. Is the problem with the Panthers this year the offense or the defense? You can't say it's a little bit of both. You can't say it's all three phases. You got to pick one. Is the problem the offense or the defense?
Joe, I think this is pretty easy. It's the defense.
Yeah, for me, it's the defense. I mean, I think it's close, but I think the defense wins it for me. It's not.
I don't think it's close at all. I don't think it's close at all.
I don't either. You put up 38 points. That should beat anybody every week by a lot.
I just saw Joan put up a comment about this just a moment ago, and she was just talking about how disheartening it can be when your offense goes out there and maybe isn't just perfect. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But they really this is what she wrote. It's disheartening for the offense to do everything to win and watch the defense let it slip away. I think if you say defense / special teams, but it's clearly the defense, guys, and it's not like, hey, we need a fall guy. When I say, but Mel made me pick. Right. And we have given up 40 points, over 40 points twice this season already. I think we've only done that one other time in an entire season before, given up twice. So there's still a great opportunity for that to be 3 times, 4 times in a season. We gave up right now in division games, which have been the last 3, right? Atlanta, then Tampa, and then New Orleans. The teams have averaged 396 passing yards against us.
That's sickening.
In 2 games, we almost – I mean, when I say almost, we were 35 yards away from giving up 1,000 passing yards.
Oh, gosh.
In 2 games.
So, all right, so I made you vote between offense and defense.
85 points.
All right, so now you got to vote. Is it the defensive ends or is it the secondary?
It's all. It's both. There's not one good thing that we've had defensively.
Luke.
Our linebacker. No, I think I'm gonna say Luke Kuechly has been good.
Yeah,
but let's not act like that's not enough. The whole
it's not his fault. It's not his fault. No. The defensive line up to this year had been great at keeping the linemen away from him so he can go make plays.
Yeah.
That's not quite been the case this year.
Why not, man? I don't understand it. Where the heck is our defense?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. Is that K'Wan Short had an exceptional season last year. And when we say exceptional, it was like a spectacular season. There's a reason K'Wan Short wanted to get his deal done this year, and Dave Gettleman wanted to do it next year. You're going to try to tell me that K'Wan Short after this season, if it continues, even if he gets 4, 5, 6 sacks, that is going to get the number 1 defensive money? Nope. Not happening. So you get that K'Wan Short had an exceptional season, but I'm going to say this is I think he's played pretty well. Has he been dominant? Nope. Has he done?
He's been schemed against, but how come others haven't stepped up? We've had no defensive end, no defensive.
Charles
end.
Johnson is slowed down.
Yes.
He's lost a step, so he's not a good pass rusher. And that, he works hard. I thought in the Saints game he played the best he's played all season.
Hey, I love the guy.
I thought he was fighting on every play. But here's the thing: I saw one play where he went virtually unblocked, like a tight end chipped him.
I saw
and he couldn't get to Breeze fast enough. He just couldn't get to him fast enough.
Right.
No, I've seen the statistics. Nobody double teams our defensive ends at all. They don't. I think maybe one time this entire year they've been double teamed. One time, the entire season, anybody's double teamed any of our defensive ends. That tells you why Kawan Short is not putting up the stats he did before. You don't have the Greg Hardys at his prime. You don't have the Julius Peppers in his prime. You don't have those types of studs where they command the guard going out and chipping or the back going out and chipping. So now they're all converging in on Short and Star, and it's showing. And without the defensive ends, this defense does not get better. And then
Carlton Cohen on YouTube says, and I agree 100%, says Charles Johnson is a run stopper only at this stage of the game.
Yes, of his career.
And he says that he can stop the run outside, and that's certainly true. He's not a liability there. He's actually an asset there. He probably is the best on that line at that.
Run stopping,
He's a good defensive end, but we need a great one, and he should be a situation.
We need a pass rushing defensive end is what we need.
He should be a situational defensive end at this point in his career, and he's not. He's not.
So then I think the bigger thing is we kind of knew that with I think we all saw that sunset on Charles Johnson coming. All right. This isn't surprising. Oh, yeah. What is surprising is that Coney Ely is completely – and I don't want to get after him. Like, I'm not – like, this is not coming after me. Like, sometimes I can get a little personal with things. But I just I cannot tell you if he's on the field or not. I cannot tell you if it's him, if it's Addison, if it's whoever. Like, I don't know who the right end at any time is. They may not as well even be on the field.
So a guy that gets 3 sacks in the Super Bowl, and then the next year he's not being schemed against. He's not being double teamed.
He's missing in action.
Mm-hmm.
Why? That is a big reason why we are not winning. I mean, guys, we're a couple of field goals away from being 3-3, and we're a couple of impact players away from being 5-1. We really are, and it sucks. We are who we say we are. We're 1-5, but we could be 4-2 pretty daggum easy.
Sure.
If Ely had shown up, and if Gano had shown up, and Missy Russell, I heard you out there on Twitter. Yes, you need to change your fantasy team name because you jinked Gano. Oh, Gano, you didn't.
Yeah.
But Gano kicks that field goal in Denver. We
lost 3 games by 3 points.
Yes, are we last year's?
We have lost. Out of the 5 games we've lost, guys, we have lost even in adding in the blowouts. We have lost by an average of 6.8 points, which is less than the average that the Chiefs lost by in their 1-5
remarkable playoff run last year.
Right. I don't see that coming.
I find it tough to believe that Carolina would be able to pull that off at this point, just because of what we've seen. And
here for the Panthers.
There's nobody's done anything to change this. So what is it going to take? What do we have to do to get this offense going consistently? I think we have to change our strategy.
Well,
offense or defense?
Offensively.
Well, here's one thing. If we would rewind and go back to September 1st, okay, right before the season started, and if I would have said, guys, Michael Orr is going to miss 3 games. Cam's going to miss a game. Cam's going to get his head beat in for a few games. Jonathan Stewart's going to miss 3 games. If I would have laid that out for you as a prognostication that was a fact, it wouldn't have been too hard pressed to say we'd be 1-5. When we started this year, we said, you know what? You have to be healthy. You have to be healthy. We haven't been healthy. So if we're going to make a run, if we're going to have a prayer at a wild card spot, which is it's going to take everything we got and a little bit of luck to make a wild card spot. If we're going to do that, guess what? Jonathan Stewart's got to stay healthy. Cam's got to stay healthy. Michael Orr's got to come back.
We need Michael Orr back.
We definitely do. Even though he's not the greatest, we have to have him because without him, we're horrible along the front.
So who do you start at right tackle?
Really, is that
Rimmers or Rimmers or Williams? Hey, right.
Rimmers, if Orr comes back.
I'm saying Williams. He hasn't given up any problems. I say put Rimmers to the bench.
He got messed up a couple of times. I've seen he ain't been great.
No.
Rimmers, though. See, here's the thing: is we don't really. It's unfair of us to judge Rimmers based on his play at left tackle.
Yes.
How about his play at right tackle?
I know it has left.
You're right. We have chosen not to judge him on his play at right tackle because we don't have any tackles.
I'm sorry. Darrell Williams is my man.
Joe, I think we should nickname Coney Ely Owen Wilson. Behind enemy lines, he is missing in action.
He should be anti-Owen Wilson because he has not been behind enemy lines.
Yes, it's true. Need Hackman in behind enemy lines. The guy that won't go get him.
Right.
Well,
I love that movie because Owen Wilson is so terrible at that type of role. It's awful, but it's so good. It's almost like you don't know if it's trying to be a comedy or not. It could be, or is this serious? But all right.
where he's got to run through the minefield that's set up.
Yeah.
You remember that? Oh, that's so bad.
But hey guys, you know what? This is exactly spot on. Legacy Lines out there on Twitter says Rimmers at left tackle is just like Byron Bell, the Byron Bell experiment all over again.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean it is. Is that I would say this is that with Rimmers at least, he looks like he's kind of trying.
And he's right-handed. That's about all.
He's kind of trying. He's just really bad. With Byron Bell, I felt like he just couldn't move. He was. He might as well be one of those clown. You remember those punching bags you had when we were kids, where you would punch it and it would come back up, and it was just like a big balloon that had sand in the bottom.
Yeah,
that's what Byron Bell was. All right, so here, the defensive line, we know this is where our problems start. And if we want to talk about Gettleman, his biggest error of this offseason was assuming that and this has been his error in the past, assuming that his plan was contingent on everything going right.
Right.
And when I say experimentally going right, and that is – Ely is going to be a guy that you depend and need to be great. These guys, there's no question, they had to be good. And when they're not, because you gambled on them being good, and then you put your risky bets in the secondary because you thought that front was going to be good. Mm-hmm. And then that made your bad bet in the back look even worse.
Right. The domino.
So this secondary, I don't even know what to say about it, dude.
And then we end up cutting Lou Young today. I don't understand these cuts.
I understand it is that it doesn't matter. We didn't have we don't even need. You could put out. We should put out there 9 defensive linemen.
No, we brought in Leonard Johnson. That's why I think we cut Lou Young.
Yeah. Wow. And then we cut Edwards, who has
twice
as many sacks as both Charles Johnson and Coney Ely combined.
Yeah.
Cut it. Jeez, I don't
All
know.
right, so Zach Sanchez, I saw put a tweet up that said, "I'm not going to let two bad plays define me."
You
or
know what?
something like that.
I'm not down on Sanchez. He's been put in a tough spot. He's a young dude.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say he sucks. I'm okay with Sanchez.
I'm not saying. Okay, how about this? Is they might not suck for their careers, but
They're not
at this
ready.
at this juncture, yeah, they're not ready.
And it's not.
And
That's
look, we
not their
can't.
fault. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
Josh Norman should be here, and they should be learning behind Josh Norman.
So some rumors, and I didn't read the story. I wasn't even going to click on it because Joe Person wrote it, and it was about. I felt like I knew what he was going to say, and it was about the Ben Wickery cut, and we didn't get to hear. I'm so upset. The Panthers need to air. They air the press conference for Ron Rivera live on Mondays on their online. But it seems like that the press gets an opportunity sometimes to talk with McDermott and Shula. And we don't get access to that on the website. Carolina Panthers, if you're listening out there, we want that access because we got to listen to people like David Newton and Joe Person. And I don't want to undermine them as their career. I'm just saying we have to depend on people for our opinions solely. And he comes out and he says that there's some indication that there potentially could be some tension between the coaching staff and Ben Wickery, and that was what led to the cut. I think we all knew that there's something clearly there, but they said what the juxt of it was from just the tweet that I could see that he didn't do what they asked him to do, or he was upset about what they asked him to do. And the first thought is like, man, was he upset that he had to man Julio every play? I mean, of course he's upset about that. And then, but we're going to give Sanchez a pass because why was he put in a position where he was in man coverage against Brandon Cooks? Like, at what point, in what worlds is that acceptable?
Let me add to my list earlier from who's been missing. How about Kirk Coleman? When you're talking about secondary coverages, this dude had 7 interceptions, right, last year? I mean, the coverage has not been there. The help over top. Sanchez should not be one-on-one with Cooks by himself. Where is Kirk Coleman in this equation? Is that McDermott or is that Coleman? I don't know.
Do you know how thin our secondary is right now?
Yeah.
It's Zach's. And listen, I mean, Worley's hurt. Bradbury may come back after the bye, but we started Daryl Worley and Zach Sanchez.
Rookies.
And this is week 6.
That's brutal. That's brutal. With $20 million in
cap space. Yeah.
That's brutal.
I mean, how is this? I don't know what world this is. Do you think that Gettleman has thrown in the towel for this season?
No,
we can't throw in the towel. That's the last thing.
No, not us. But is that what Gettleman is doing?
No, I think he bought into. I think he listened to the show and he heard you and me and Jake about how he plays chess when everybody else plays checkers. And he
started to believe the press clippings.
Yes,
Panthers fan. Listen to this. Panther fan on YouTube said Kirk Coleman has to worry about both Sanchez and Worley. Only so much stress a man can take.
That's a valid point.
Oh my God, that is so true. Is that here? He does it, and the secondary is. And look, I don't want to just say it's on their plays, but. Here, Drew Brees had an opportunity to make a sandwich before he threw the ball in this game. So there's no pressure, and then you get a secondary that isn't ready. All right, they're not good. Let's just put it that way. They're bad.
Yeah.
They're bad. They gave up 465 yards.
That's brutal.
And that wasn't their worst game.
In 6 games.
Yeah. So, that was one game. So here, Dave Gettleman a couple of weeks ago says that Zach, when he cut Ben Wickery, And then he brought Zach Sanchez up. He said that Zach Sanchez likes a double move, or he falls for a double move. He says, "Hey, I drink a milkshake every now and then." We mentioned this in the show maybe 2 weeks ago, but so Cam Newton has a bad press conference. Well, nope, I'm not going to say that. Cam Newton had a fantastic press conference, in my opinion, a fantastic game, and I completely and 100% stand with Cam. I started that hashtag, by the way, and it's going pretty good. It's going well, but he had a press conference that after the game that has taken a certain criticism. And it's been weird because it's the local media that I feel has been beating the drum on this criticism the hardest. And I just thought this. If I was Cam Newton walking in that press conference and they're going to ask me questions to the effect of this, you look disappointed right now, Cam. I mean, this is what Joe Person asked him. He said, "Oh, you look kind of sad and upset, frustrated." He didn't say that. But he said this, "Is this the most disappointed you've been since the Super Bowl?" What kind of bullshit question is that? Right? Then the other question, they asked him another question is, how does it feel to stand on the sidelines and watch after you make that comeback, the defense not be able to stop them? What is Cam Newton really supposed to say there?
Right.
Is he supposed to say, hey, we were down 21-0, Kelvin Benjamin's out of sync, the offensive line is atrocious, particularly Mike Remmers, and I single-handedly willed this team. Oh, not single-handedly. Well, my right hand, Jonathan Stewart, we willed this team to win, to back into the game, and our defense gave up 465 points. Is he supposed to say that crap?
Right.
He did exactly what he did as better than any I could ever do. And then on top of that, if I was Cam Newton, you know what I would have done? I would have walked into that damn press conference drinking a damn milkshake. That's what I would have done. Yeah. I would have been like, what'd you say about the defense?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell has happened after a game where Cam Newton showed exactly how much we require and ask of him and how much he meets and exceeds that expectation in a press conference that is so intentionally trying to bait these things?
Yes. They're looking for that hot take. That's what they're looking for.
They are.
They were hoping that Cam would say, well, you know, I'm giving everything I've got, but my offensive line is just giving me no time.
Or that the defense gave up, blew it.
Right. And then if he, if he was to succumb and say something like that, they will rip him to shreds about not being a leader. And
you mean like they're ripping him right now for not being
exactly. It would be the same thing. It would be the same thing. He can't win. He cannot win. And that's why he walked off. He's like, whatever I say is not going to be enough for these guys. They're going to keep coming at me, and I don't want to do it right now. So he just walked away.
And it's not even that they're just keep coming at him. They are making the questions are tuned to write that story no matter what.
Right, it's stupid, terrible questions. It's awful questions. What
kind of question is that? Where you ask somebody, is this the most disappointed you've been since the Super Bowl? If I was, you know what I should have been like if I was Cam Newton? I should have been like, no, there were riots in my town and people got killed or something like that.
Right.
I was pretty disappointed at that moment. I was pretty disappointed when when I look at the national deficit, or when my grandmother died, or when my dog died. Like, what kind of question?
Well, when I read your article,
how is that? Oh my gosh!
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. But
it's so frustrating.
It is, but at the end of the day, you have to learn. And I totally stand with Cam, and I'm so glad you started that hashtag. But at the end of the day, if he's ever going to change that narrative, it's going to have to start with him. And he's got to turn it around on them. He's got to figure out how to do it. The press is wrong, but so what? You can let it be wrong and define you, or you can turn it around and let it not define you. And that's where he's got to grow up. I love him. He is my QB, but he has to get to a point where he can turn that around on the press.
I'm furious.
Turn the narrative around.
I'm like bubbling.
It's true though. He has to get to where he can turn the narrative around.
And I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that, because when I sit here and I think about it, what they're ripping
Go to an Al-Anon.
What Cam said, like what they're upset and ripping him about is a lack of leadership right now, a lack of maturity, because he is not being authentic in answering the questions. That's what they're saying, is that he should be more committed into doing these things when times are tough instead of only when times are good. So they're questioning his authenticity, his genuineness to the team, to like his selflessness. That's ultimately what it comes down to, is that they're trying to tease out the idea this should be about Cam and not about the Panthers. And then, but if he were to answer the questions honestly, the answers that you're going to get from any of us about this team right now, they don't start with Cam Newton. They don't start with, I mean, look, it could go from Dave Gettleman. It could go to the defense. It could go to the lack of pass rush. It could go to defensive play calling. It could go, there's like so many, the list is so freaking long. What does Cam need to say next question? That's a bullshit question. No.
What if Cam's answer was, he looked right at Joe Burson and he said, I don't know about that, Joe. It was very disappointing, though. We all got to play better, and it starts with me. Next question. What could anybody say? What could anybody say if that's what he said? And just said it with a straight face and just moved on.
There's something about a Panthers job fair tomorrow. They can't.
What?
Shaqed just put it up on YouTube or something.
Welcome back, Shaqed.
All right. So I get this. All right. So look, on top of this, there's some weird things going on. Missy Russell on Twitter points out, she said, you can follow her at Missy Russell 81. She said that Benet doesn't seem happy and is as confused as we are. And the other thing that I saw, there's another thing I saw that the NFL.com or the NFL on their Instagram put up like the Drew Brees stats for the day against the Panthers. And it was like, like this awesome stat line on their Instagram. And Ben Wickery liked it on Instagram. And somebody caught a screenshot of his name saying, like this thing.
Oh, man.
So jacked up. All right. Okay, so the bye week is here. The Ron Rivera has said that they had a light practice, I think 2 days of light practice, and then he wants to give the rest of the guys the week off. And he has instructed them to not listen to the C3 podcast like they do every week.
Right.
To not listen to WFNZ like they never do. And I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just really upset with Nathan Connolly a little bit right now, and this kind of the embracement of the negativeness that they have leached onto a little bit. But he said, ignore the noise, get away. I think it's a little Gordon Bombay-ish. I read a little story about how this reminded me of Gordon Bombay in the Mighty Ducks 2, D2. But you can read that on Carolina Cat Chronicles. I like to have fun with that. Joe, how does a team like this reset themselves in a bye week where it's tough. I feel like the team is a little bit mentally stronger and emotionally stronger than they were several years ago. I feel like Ron Rivera should be, and the coaching staff should be even more steady at this point, but I feel like maybe I see nervousness in their eyes. But how do you reset if you're a player and get excited, particularly when the media is shifting the narrative to a negative inability to overcome that mountain? Like, how do you do that as a player?
Excuse me. I think you need to get away from everything. I think you need to get away from football. You need to get away from the media. You need to go somewhere where it's quiet. Just take you and your family or by yourself, depending on your situation, and just get away from it and sort of reevaluate. Take a long, hard look at what you're doing, what you're bringing and offering to this team, and then once the bye week is over, come back refreshed and ready to look at this as starting over at week 1 all over again. Okay? You have, there's 11 games left? 10 games left. 11.
10 games.
10 games. So
Hopefully
you gotta win, you gotta go out and win 10 games. You gotta come in with the attitude of I gotta win 10 games.
You gotta come back with the attitude that we gotta win 1 game.
Right, one at a time. It's gonna be one at a time, but looking at the big picture, it's gotta be 10. But you start with 1, and I think the coaches need to go and look at this every game this season. They don't need an off week. They need to get there and work twice as hard this week. They gotta go and look every game in the season and see what we've done well. See where we have had success with the situation we're in as far as our offensive line goes. What plays have worked well? And we need to start tailoring and changing our offense to those plays. Cam had very good success with those intermediate routes. So start going to more of those. Get away from the deep routes. That's not our game this year. You have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to evolve. If you're not going forward, you're going backward. There's no standing still.
You're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Right. So you've got to do that. You've got to make these changes because what you're trying to do, what worked last year, is not going to work this year.
I'm so surprised that you're saying this about the offense, Joey. And not that, I feel like the offense has been lights out or anything, but there is a cool radio show, a local radio show in Greenville. It's called the Mark Pascal Show, and I listened to it on the way to work, and he's really cool. So he's a local guy in Greenville that kind of just does an overall. It's obviously it's tuned more towards Greenville, ECU, and some things like that, but it's kind of a national. He just talks about all sports, and he's really good. He was talking about how he was driving home and listening. He was going somewhere out towards the mountains, and he was driving home listening to the Panthers game on the radio. And he likes McMixon, which I feel like he's like the only guy that likes McMixon, really. But he was talking about.
I think he does a good job.
He's all right. He's so straight edge that I like a little bit. I'm a little wild. But so I like Eugene a little bit more. And he was talking about how you
got arrested with hookers at the Super Bowl.
Exactly. How was that like? And he was talking about how he heard this statement and he could not understand. Is that Eugene Robinson is a former defensive back, right? So he kind of understands football from that perspective. And they were talking about how the Panthers' inability to generate a pass rush. And Mark Pascal was reflecting on this. And he said that Mick Mixon asked them, do you need to blitz here to force that? And we've seen the Panthers do that.
A lot more.
A lot, yeah. And this was Eugene Robinson's answer. He said, you can't blitz because they'll score a touchdown. Like, is that if you blitz, it's a guaranteed touchdown, is what he said.
That's right.
Did you see any corner blitzes in that game?
I saw some safety blitzes, but I don't think I saw any corners.
I didn't remember seeing any.
Yeah,
maybe I missed one.
I missed one.
But the idea, and Mark Pascal was tripping out over this, is like the answer to that question is, why aren't we blitzing, Eugene? Because they'll score a touchdown. Next question.
Matter of factly. Well, let me tie my point into what you're saying, Tony, about the offense. We know this defense is not as good as last year. We're going to surrender points because we can't get a pass rush. So what do? If we run more ball control, time of possession, focused tight plays, that'll keep the other team's offense on the sideline, limiting their time to be able to score touchdowns, right?
Okay, yeah, like the old, like just run and grind.
Run, and even just short, controlled passing, because, look, we can't have these big, spectacular plays.
But that actually requires, Joey, a better defense to do that.
To do what?
To develop a game plan where the underlying strategy is to reduce the number of possessions by all teams, right? That's kind of what you're trying to say is that, hey, we want each team to get the ball 6 times, 7 times a game rather than 12 times a game. So you draw out these long 98-yard, 7-minute drives. You got to punch it in for 7. But at the same time, your defense, like the other team, can't come back and score 7 in 57 seconds.
Right, I agree.
Well, what he's saying is you got to establish the run. You have to be able to run the ball and keep converting on third downs on offense.
Right, which we've not been good at.
And that helps your defense. If you can convert on third down, and if you can, look back at that Tampa Bay game. Run, punt. Run, punt.
Mm-hmm.
If you can run, pass, run, first down, run, first down, then you've got something. Your defense has a little bit more mojo, a little bit more to bring to bear. But that's not what we've been doing so far.
No, we haven't. And that's my point is,
I'm just thinking this is that they had a 4-play. The Saints had a 3-play, 93-yard drive in 57 seconds.
Yes, your defense can't do that. You're right.
That's going to make it very difficult to execute that type of game plan, right? Yeah. And I understand that you have to ball control this and that, but here we had that at the end of the game. The Panthers, I thought, relatively, they go down. They're able to tie it up in a moment where I don't think, maybe they could have taken more time off the clock. I thought that my honest opinion, a lot of people were saying this, is that they should have, and Cam was upset at the 2-minute warning and some different things like that about, they want to draw at, maybe we should have tried to draw that drive out more.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually saying this is we should probably try to quick score because it's pretty guaranteed they're going to be able to get a field goal.
Right. Exactly what I was thinking.
And we should have more time. So it's such it's like a chicken and an egg. It's so tough when you can't let teams score fast on you.
Right. No matter what you try to do on offense, your defense has to be able to put up more of a fight than to allow a team to score 93 yards in 56 seconds. Your defense has to play better than that, or it doesn't matter what you do on offense.
Right.
It really doesn't.
We put up 38 points. 38 points.
Right. That should be enough, you would think.
The Saints were, this is terrible. Again, third down conversions for the Panthers. 3 for 11 for the Panthers.
Ooh, that's the difference right there.
That is a difference.
8 for 16 by the Saints.
Oh, they were at 50%.
We couldn't get off the field. This is
we could stay on the field.
The Falcons were off. The Falcons had a 62% third down completion percent.
Yeah.
You know, we led the league last year in our
did.
defense. We had that game. The momentum was back with Carolina. The defense actually put up on first and second down on that last drive. They were there. They were in a position to where they could get them to make a decision if they were going to punt the ball and try to force overtime. And then like 2 or 3 of those third down conversions came on that drive.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful. Okay. Enough about that game. We got to get our ISO picks in and get out of here for the night. Who wants to go first?
I will, except I decided to not play spin the bottle for everybody out there who gets that reference.
Thank you.
Well, can we – actually, I do want to talk about this for a moment.
Go ahead.
So Mel sends a tweet to us this afternoon, and then also mentioned the girl gang in it, which is there's discussion in itself. But that ice up candidate ? And it was something to the effect of man loses penis or has to have penis removed after getting it stuck in a bottle. Now, I got to ask you this. At the most desperate time in your life and moment where your penis gets stuck in a bottle, right? And the panic sets in, right? The panic. At that moment where you go, shit, this did not go the way I was.
I mean,
yes.
Really?
How does it get to a point of amputation? Really?
I mean, maybe the guy was on a long car drive and he was hoping to not have to stop, and he only had a Sundrop bottle, and maybe things went south.
No, I'm gonna tell you this: my man was not peeing in a bottle.
Oh, no.
If his penis got stuck to the point where they had to amputate it. I promise you, that's not what he was trying to do. But my point is this: at that moment where you know that this has gone so wrong, yeah,
jeez, that get
do you
much wronger
just suck up the pain and break the bottle, like hammer, brick, shatter the bottle? What was that bottle made out of? Freaking titanium?
Right. That's what you have to ask yourself. What extreme measures am I going to take to try to keep myself from having to go to the emergency room in the first place and have to explain this?
So
it's very simple.
C3 Girl Gang is starting the hashtag spin the bottle.
Which is, they said, and then it goes on to this long list of jokes of, Susan said, anybody for a game of spin the bottle? And my comeback was, is you really feel for the person that gets that message in the bottle.
That's right.
Yeah, that poor kid on the beach, and that bottle washes up on shore. God. All right. So,
good no, you didn't.
Okay, no, you did. Gosh. I mean, at some point, you got to just say this: I'm willing to smash my penis with a brick to save it. I don't know who's had to say that, but that guy should have said it in life. All right.
Coulda, woulda.
Next.
All right. So,
all
right. So the ice up sun that I have seems so incredibly lame after that.
A break-in case of emergency.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, with the nice hammer with the rope on it. Oh, okay.
Oh, gosh. Smash glass in case of emergency.
Jiminy crickets.
Oh,
right. Oh, okay. Well, let's bring it back to football, guys. Okay. You can't even be serious after that. You can't even be serious. All right,
go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna make it real simple and non-dramatic. If we're gonna go from 1-5 and be the second team ever to take it to the playoffs, the entire Panthers team has got to ice up, son, and it's got to start with the defensive pass rush, defensive line, the offensive line, the hog mollies, the secondary, the wide receivers, the quarterback, everybody in Panther land. If you're going to turn this around, if you're going to make a run, if you're going to catch those Falcons, it's not impossible. But if you're going to do it in these next 2 weeks, you got to ice up. You got to ice up well and often. Ice up, son.
Joe, you want me to go or are you ready?
I am.
So no, not even a comment on that. That's how lame it was after the bottle and the you don't
I mean, what are we? Here's the thing that I would love to say that I wrote the story. I wrote the story that said, you know, are the Panthers next Chiefs? This and that. It's so outlandish, though. You know, the Chiefs had a 0% chance of doing what they did last year. They broke the percent, like the probability. They broke it. It was miraculous.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know, I would love to get excited about that, and I would love to talk about that. But you know what I want to talk about is beating Arizona. Just if I could just get beaten Arizona, that's just one. I mean, I know. So
they look good last night.
Do need to ice up though. Good Lord.
Yeah, the entire squad.
All right, Joe, I'm ready to go. So if you want me to go, I'm ready.
I'm going to go real quick. I'm ready. I am going to go after a quarterback. Since everybody's all over Cam Newton, I'm going to go on and get after a quarterback that has been all world, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. He had a decent game. He was 31 of 42 for 294 yards, but the Cowboys beat Green Bay at Green Bay and beat them resoundingly.
Yeah, it was
quite convincingly. And Rodgers had some inopportune turnovers, and that's where I'm calling him to ice up at. He threw an INT, but more, I guess, costly was a fumble he had when they were down at the Cowboys' 1 yard line.
Yeah.
So, no, you know, Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, it's kind of like doing it in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, just to get another name out there for people to think about other than Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, you had a bad week, so this week you definitely need to ice up, son.
And all of his fantasy football owners tend to agree with you there, Joe.
I bet.
You know what? He's been all right, though, this year, fantasy-wise. He had a poor game. But here, you know, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, but Troy Aikman, so Aaron Rodgers starts out 5 of 8, and this was like on the 6th pass. So he's like 4 of 6 or 4 of whatever. I mean, it's like really good. I mean, and he missed like 1 pass, and Troy Aikman's like, he just doesn't look the same as he used to. I was like, he missed 1 pass, but I do get what you're saying. Aaron Rodgers, ice up.
Yeah. A real quick honorary ice up between Troy Aikman and Brett Favre. Those are 2 guys that tend to play. Now they're Hall of Famers, but they tend to sit up there and criticize other quarterbacks pretty quickly. And I think they should be much more reserved in their criticism. I really do. But hey. Ice up.
All right. So my ice up pick this week goes to Nathan Conley of WFNZ.
Nice.
I like it.
And you know, Nathan has tried to assume the role of kind of the man of like that's not going to have the emotional investment of somebody like Mac or something that is clearly that just will say I root for this team. Like I want to like this. I want to do these things. I'm in that camp where I want to I want to defend Cam. And look, I think that Nathan Conley, I'll give him this, is that I think his criticism of David Gettleman has been warranted. Like I'm okay with that. But he really latched on hard, as well as a lot of other people in the local media, even Frank Garcia later in the day, that that Cam Newton is a problem on this team. that his lack of leadership, what they described as the childishness of a 6-year-old, is problematic for this team. So much as to the fact that Frank Garcia ranked him as the third biggest problem on this team behind the defense, Gettleman, and the defense. Right? So he was saying the three problems with the Panthers are David Gettleman, caused by David Gettleman, the defense, which he then chalked up to the secondary as being Dave Gettleman, and then Cam Newton. I watched this game against the Saints, and I don't see anything that can – I saw this. I saw the Panthers go down 21. The defense just looked like it was non-existent. I saw his receivers miss plays. I saw the offensive tackles. I saw Cam Newton hold on to the ball too much at times, sure, in that first couple of drives. Like, he was not flawless. But going down 21-0, that potentially could have mentally broke Cam Newton 3 years ago. And Cam Newton showed a resiliency. He has gotten up when his offensive line has not protected him. He has gone out there and brought this team back. He has not pouted on the sidelines when the defense. And then the media tries to bait him into this. But it's okay because the media, we know this. But here's the sports talk radio guys here acting like we're ridiculous for saying they're ridiculous on this.
Right. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. There's a lot of ridiculousness here. And so here, this is what. So on top of that, I tell, like, hey, y'all, like, need to kind of ease up on him. And then Nathan Connolly said something back to me, and we started getting into this banter on Twitter. And I said, look, like, the questions on top of that, what do you expect Cam to say? What type of questions? How's he supposed to answer that? How disappointed are you? What do you think about the defense blowing the lead? When you phrase it like that, not like, hey, the defense is struggling. How does that affect you on the offensive side of the ball? What do you think about the defense blowing the lead? And then Nathan Connolly has the nerve to come back and tell me that we shouldn't be telling the media how to do their job. I said, like, hold up. We can all look at this question and be like, it's stupid. And he said, look, if you were as good, better than them at their job, you would be in that room. And I just wanted to say, I just want to say, shut the motherfucker up.
Yeah.
Just shut up. Just shut up. First of all, I said I could do that. I can, and then somebody came on Twitter and said, yeah, right, we can't ask you. We certainly are not qualified enough or talented enough to say, how does that make you feel, Cam? And the idea that you want to turn and pin this on Cam Newton and act like that press conference was so childish. I think you have some gumption, fellas, and I'm leading. I stand with Cam.
Nice.
Have some gumption, have some backbone, and say stop asking him questions that are meant to be that are malicious.
Right, and they're meant to be divisive. You know,
Yes.
They want him calling his teammates out.
So, to the local media, spearheaded by Nathan Connolly, the WFNZ, these guys that are talking about Cam feels like he's above everybody, that nobody can tell him what to do, that they can't. His press conference was not as bad as you make it out to be. Was it like one that you want to write a textbook about? Probably not. But you know what? My man was honest and political, and he just said, next question when you ask me a stupid one. So to all of y'all who think that you're better than everybody, that you think that you're so qualified to evaluate this, to you, I tell you, ice up.
Nice. Well, two things I got to say.
Tony, that was a great job.
That was great. Two things I'll say to that. Number one, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. So I like that
Amen,
Cam.
Cam. Like
I
that?
like that Cam gets pissed. And then second, top of the ninth, Dodgers 6, Cubs 0.
Mm.
You know what, Mel? Ice up to you, sir. Because on top of that, I think part of my anger for Frank and these guys at this moment is fueled by they're picking on the one Cubs fan in their room. You know what? Anybody who is not a Dodgers fan, and I know that Mel's a Dodgers fan, so I'm going to give you a pass on this. Anybody who is not specifically a Dodgers fan and is not pulling for the Cubs to win the World Series, right, or win, first of all, this National League Championship Series, to you have no soul. It's true. Like, you have no soul. I will not let you near my children if you are pulling for someone else to win the World Series other than the Cubs, and you're not a fan of that specific team. All right.
Okay.
Joe,
time to get out of here.
Sometimes they say that this is a C3 podcast. It goes from 10 to whenever we want to go.
Mhm.
Joe, I know you're ready to go, so tell them, where can they hit you up?
Folks, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Riorano. And please tune in tomorrow to the Southbound and Down podcast, brought to you by Fan First Productions, where we cover the entire NFC South. We'll look ahead to the week's previous games and what we have coming up on the week we're moving into. So please join us there tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, same bat time, same bat channel.
Mel Mayock, how can they hit you up?
You can catch me anytime at Panthers Drafter on Twitter. But, hey, I just want to say this show is so much more fun when everybody gets involved. I mean, like Missy Russell calling you Belichick. I mean, that's just classic, right? So, come on
to Arizona. I'm with Cam. Next question.
Exactly right. So come out and get involved. And then tomorrow night, if you're a C3 fantasy football player, check us out at 9 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the Fantasy Football League this past week and the best fantasy football league out there. But also, hey, let me put in a shameless plug. I'm also a writer for Draft Tech. We got a new mock draft coming out where, unfortunately, the Panthers are picking in the top 10 as of right now. So check that out on Thursday.
Yeah, my name's Tony Dunn. They call me the Professor. I'm here every Tuesday night with my homeboys, where we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. You can check out all our work at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can follow us on Twitter at @cat_Chronicles. And look, help us out. Hook us up with a share. And folks, we're here. If it's halfway to 8, we're still here. If it's halfway to 10 wins straight, we're still here. But you know this, we stand with Cam.
We stand with Cam, baby.
Yes, we do.